Fear's at the background, isn't it? If you fear him, then that gives him a great deal of influence.
Rupert Murdoch has switched his political support between parties in Britain, but he's been perfectly consistent in backing his own commercial interest.
It's one of these things that's sort of very subtle. Nobody needed to talk about it. Everybody understood that Rupert Murdoch's a businessman. He wants certain things. And he's done this in America, he's done it in Australia, he's done it in the UK. He backs the people who are going to be most congenial to his business.
Sky TV was merged into a 39% stake in Sky B, and Mr. Murdoch's ambition until last week was to take it over completely. Its annual revenue at nearly £6 billion easily outstrips the BBC licence fee. The former Prime Minister says that was just part of a wider plan that he opposed and paid the price for.
News International had an agenda about the BBC. They had an agenda to neuter Ofcom, the regulatory organisation, and partly because we refused to go along with some of their commercial proposals that were purely in the interests of their company, that News International did not find that they could support a Labour Party at the last election.
But Murdoch's newspapers could exercise power in another way, by the power of scandal. Stories about people's private lives could destroy reputations and careers.
If they turned on you, they could be very nasty indeed. They had a lot of power, a lot of money, a lot of resources at their disposal to analyse people, to follow people, to intimidate people.
My friend, no one's going to vote for you if you shout, that's for sure.
Yeah. In 1992, it seemed that the Liberal Democrats, led by Paddy Ashdown, had a chance of holding the balance of power.
A vote for Labour and a vote for the Tories, which is the real wasted vote in this election.
As the election campaign was about to start, The Sun broke the story that Paddy Ashdown had had an affair. The Sun also reported that there'd been a burglary at the offices of Paddy Ashdown's solicitor. All that had been taken was a small amount of cash and a private note detailing the affair.
It was such a professional job that Paddy Ashdown's solicitor didn't even know there'd been a break-in until a lawyer from News International phoned to say that they'd been given a document and they needed to check that it was genuine. And of course it was. The story was published.
It is my view that this brief relationship of 5 years ago is and always should have remained a private and personal matter.
A burglar with a long record was later convicted of handling stolen property. He explained that he'd passed the note to the Sun's sister paper, the News of the World. Within parts of Murdoch's News of the World, relying on law-breaking to get a story seems to have been widely accepted. A book published back in 2008 revealed some of their trade secrets.
I was amazed by the ingenuity of these guys in trying to find out anything they could about people without actually asking them or doing so in a direct and very often legal way. They found ways round the law, or evidently didn't think that the law mattered too much. They didn't seem to be concerned about it at all. As long as the tack they had would do the job, they got on with it.
Sports reporter Matt Driscoll was delighted to get a job on the News of the World in the 1990s.
When I was finally offered a staff job there, it was a sort of proud moment in my career. It was the biggest paper, read by the most people, and a paper that can do stuff that no other paper can do.
As chief Northern sports writer, one of his key tasks was to report everything that he could about Manchester United's tough boss, Alex Ferguson. Matt had heard Fergie was ill and might retire, but he couldn't stand it up and asked for help.
Well, then within about a few hours, maybe a day, I get a phone call saying that we have his medical records in the office, which I was a bit surprised at, because up to that point in my career I'd never been in a newspaper that could suddenly gain someone's medical records that easily, and then